in editing, seasonal income tax preparer at a large local CPA firm, started gardening as a child. My camera is a point-and-shoot Sony CyberShot DSC-HX400V. All the flower pictures you see in this presentation were taken with that camera. This is Rich and me at Lead Lodge in Nebraska City. He's not into gardening, but he loves my daylily friends, takes me wherever I want to go, and makes all of my dreams come true. Aww. Yeah, he's a sweeter. Little bit about daylily organizations and me. I'm an ADS Life member and a garden judge instructor. I'm on Debbie's Image Collection Subcommittee. There's my regional liaison positions, club memberships, I co-chaired the 2007 National Convention in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I chaired Garden Judges Workshops 1 and 2 at the 2007 and 2013 National Conventions, plus a lot of regional meetings. I was Region 1 RVP from 2000 through 2004 for 5 consecutive years. My greatest accomplishment was saving the daylily and other display gardens at North Dakota State University in Fargo from demolition. They were going to become raised for a new campus building and parking lot. And this was a happy day. This picture was taken right after our meeting with President Chapman, when he decided to spare NDSU's plant collections from the axe and move them to a brand new 15-acre alternate campus entrance. President Chapman cleared his calendar for the rest of that day and led us all on an impromptu campus tour. About my garden was a 2002 regional meeting tour garden, was an International Garden of the Week last week on Charlotte Chamitoff's Winter Series. Will be a regional meeting open garden this summer. It's a state licensed and inspected daylily, allium, and daffodil nursery. And there's our website address. And we have a 2-directional slope and built 6 terraced beds with stairs in the middle to transform a formerly steep backyard into usable gardening space. And there's a picture of that terraced backyard bed. Initially it was railroad ties. This picture was taken right after the steps were reconstructed and the walls after collapse. And unfortunately it was shortly before peak daylily bloom. And this is another picture of that bed showing Spigelia miralandica and Lysimachia punctata in that picture. And these are my first batch of daylily seedlings planted last July 3rd. You can see our new cattle panel arch on the upper left. I always get a late start planting daylily seedlings because of my seasonal tax gig, plant sales, cleanup, and weeding. I finished planting my seedlings on July 15th. I started collecting daylilies in the mid-1980s and fell in love with them. Bought a row of Hyperion to stabilize soil atop the terraced backyard beds in the early 1980s. My first non-yellow daylily was secondhand rose from Steve Moldovan. And I discovered Tim Stanek sold daylilies and started buying from him. He was the catalyst who initiated my daylily hybridizing efforts. And there he is. Doesn't he look innocent in that picture? And that's his Salmon Be Jammin', which was a 2007 National Convention bus plant. I was so happy growing other hybridizers' daylilies in my garden. Why on earth did I start hybridizing? Tim Stanek made me do it. During garden visits, he told me over and over again that I should hybridize with the outstanding daylilies in my garden. He scolded and nagged me. He pushed and prodded me. Resistance was futile. So, out of guilt, hybridizing daylilies became my reluctant mission. I first started with diploids and eventually registered 2 diploid seedlings. One of them, Melanie Michelle, named for my oldest daughter who loves pink. The other one, Handmaids of Havoc, which is named for a phrase in one of my husband's history books. Diploids produced way too many seeds, so I switched to hybridizing with tets only and got lucky with these early results. This is Leslie Erickson, named for my good friend, the Viking stylist, out of Ferengi Gold by Dragon King. Beautiful daylily, and I still grow it. And this is Redneck Friend. This is named for the Jackson Browne song that reminds my husband Rich of me when we were dating. And it was a 2015 National Convention bus plant on Brenda Macy and Nikki Schmidt's redneck-themed buses. I enjoy guesting and testing other hybridizers' daylilies best of all, so you could say I'm a little conflicted. And Omaha Sunshine was one of 3 tet seedlings Matthew Caskell sent for hardiness testing in my Zone 5B garden. Matthew picked out its name. And Stevie Ray Vaughan was a gift from Kurt Hansen. Kurt rescued it from Ted Blaney's compost pile. This is Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's elegant and stately, out of a Ted Blaney seedling by David Kirchhoff's Vintage Bordeaux. And Kurt Hansen worked it into his lines, used it in hybridizing. And this is the beautiful, wonderfully formed Omaha Sunshine. It was just 2 votes shy of winning an honorable mention in 2018. This was a 2007 National Convention bus plant, blooms from early to mid-season out of Matthew's My Darling Clementine lines. Dave Musar is using this in his hybridizing program. It is fertile both ways. And the picture on the left is in a very inhospitable area of my garden. It faces west, it's hot and dry, there's a bump out area over it, and it's next to the HVAC unit. And you can see in the picture on the left, some of the fans each have 2 scapes, one of them the original bloom scape and the second one instant rebloom. Hybridizing daylilies. Tim Stanek got me started, but then I was on my own. I started corresponding with O.C. Whatley in the early 1990s, and he became my good friend and daylily hybridizing mentor. O.C. assured me a successful hybridizing program is possible on small urban lots like ours. He profoundly impacted my hybridizing goals, most significantly for green throats. And he and his wife Dorothy took me in when I was stranded in St. Louis during the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And this is O.C. with the globe allium in his yard. He gave me a bulb during my visit. And here's that globe allium blooming in my garden, backed by sedum autumn joy. What are my hybridizing goals? Good green throats are a must. They're in all my lines. Clear, clean color. No mud. And good substance. Grace Stamilli once told me poor substance is very difficult to breed out. True reds with good sun resistance are my first love, also near whites. Something new, purples with good sun resistance. More about that later. And playful unusual forms, but most importantly, keeping an open mind. Sometimes the blooms take me in unexpected directions like eyes, and I follow their lead. O.C.'s gift, his diamond-dusted seedling later registered as Fargo, is the foundation of my near white program. It's very close to white on some days, has a lot of green in the throat. It is diamond dusted and it passes that diamond dusting down to its kids. Flowers would be bigger if it wasn't recurved. And there's the scape, sturdy and upright for well-spaced blooms. Fertile both ways. And this is its kid, Bryce Farnsworth, named for my dear late friend. Out of Fargo by Alicia Rose Kist. It's got bigger flowers than Fargo. It's vigorous, multiplies rapidly. It's sort of like Fargo on steroids. Diamond dusted like Fargo too. And there's another picture of Bryce Farnsworth. I'm getting some interesting kids out of it. And this is its little sibling, Hillsdale Avenue, 3.75 inches. Typically it looks like the picture on the left, but in certain weather conditions, a pencil eye becomes visible and the blooms develop a pale pink tint, like on the right. And here is their half-sibling, Tripping Through Takema, named for the small town in Nebraska. It has a radiating green throat. Pollen parent is Tuxedo Junction. 6-inch blooms, 35-inch scapes, 4-way branching, 21 buds, diamond dusted, ultra easy to use both ways. And here it is in Judy Davison's North Carolina garden, on the left after a cool night, on the right after a warm night. And I do have some pinks, and this little thing is Echium amoenum, or red feathers, and I like to grow it in the front of the rows because it gets about 12 to 15 inches tall. Little cute thing. This is actually a pale apricot ivory, Erin Eileen, named for my daughter, round with heavy waxy substance out of Siberian Summer by Key Lime Special. It's fertile both ways, and I'm crossing it with Caitlin Eileen, named for my niece who is giving birth today as we speak. Has a lovely bubbly edge and some small teeth out of It's a Miracle by Early Snow. Also fertile both ways. This is Madeline Christine, has some small teeth out of Giddy Girlfriend by Tuxedo Junction. Big 8-inch flowers, 39-inch scapes, 3-way branching, 16 buds, mid-season late bloom. It's pod difficult. This is Princess Molly, one of my favorite daylilies. It's distinctive. The anthers always splay, and its little cutely arranged buds look like Asiatic lilies, and I think that's because the sepals are small and compact. It's diamond dusting. It's got really good stats. I've got some polychromes and yellows, and I like this companion plant, Lysimachia punctata, in my garden. This is Joseph Christopher. It's vigorous, multiplies rapidly, and reblooms. Out of Techni Spider by Ferengi Gold. Fertile both ways. Nice stats. Here it is on rebloom. This is hardy and vigorous in Bismarck, North Dakota, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it multiplies rapidly. This is Rick Rack. It's a sibling to Madeline Christine that I showed earlier. It has small teeth, but unlike Madeline Christine, it's an easy parent both ways and vigorous. And you can see on the picture on the right, the original scapes have 6-way branching and 38 buds, and the rebloom scapes have 3-way branching and 16 buds. This is Megan's Smile. Segments have a lighter edge. Keith Greer by Emma's Song. Mid-season late bloom, diamond dusted. It's a pretty thing. And this is the naughty McCool Junction, named for the Nebraska town. It's a reverse bitone with a sculpted relief form, and it only has 8 buds on each scape, but in my garden it always reblooms twice, so I get a lot of bloom out of it. David Kirchhoff once told me hybridizing for good clear oranges is even tougher than hybridizing for good clear reds, and Jimmy agrees. This is my orange blend, Picasso's Dream. It consistently reblooms. It's out of David C.L. Dorr by O.C. Watley's Buttercream. It sets pods easily. The buds open in the afternoon, stay open all through that evening, all through the following day and the following evening, and they still look good. And it's got a really nice green throat. The Bison series of daylilies are vigorous tets with high landscape value that thrive in North Dakota, hybridized to benefit NDSU's gardens. So far, Kathy Lamb, Michael Bowman, and I have hybridized daylilies in this series. And this is the daylily that started the series, Bison Valentine. It's the toughest daylily in my garden, out of Imperial Lemon by Sligo. I can't set pods on it, but my friend Linda Ferguson has managed to set a couple of pods on it. Her garden is also in Omaha. And this is Bison Lemonade on the left. That came from a bee pod on Picasso's Dream, which was planted in a bed of unusual forms. And it reblooms like Picasso's dream, but its color is a throwback to its buttercream grandparent. And it's diamond dust. I fell in love with Carol Emmerich's Tet seedling 30102 during spring fling at her greenhouse. She later sold it to me, and it did well in my garden. Carol gave me permission to register it as lit from within. I took it in a different direction than Carol because I thought it could breed unusual forms. And there it is. You can see that the petals often pinch and the sepals curl, and it kind of named itself because it's all lit up. Now, it's a little contrary because even though it sets bee pods, intentionally setting pods can be a little tricky. This is out of David Kirchhoff's Red Reason for Treason by a Carol Emmerich seedling. And when the temperatures approach triple digits, the eye area becomes more compact and looks almost, but not quite, like an applique. And I took this to Dan Hansen's Cool Morning Mist, and I got this, driving through Des Moines. The color varies with weather. It's got 6.5-inch blooms on 35-inch scapes with 4-way branching and 20 buds, diamond dusted, pod fertile. It's a lot of fun. I grow and love many of Nan Wilkerson's daylilies, and most of them do well in our garden. One of them is Sharon Jones DVM. That's named for our cat's veterinarian. The other one, Isaiah James, is an easy pod parent. Nan told me she thought it had better color than its kid, Jumping Jack Flash. And here's Isaiah James blooming in my garden. You can see that gorgeous clear color. It also has very good sun resistance. Now that's a great combination in a purple. And Gil Stelter is using this in his hybridizing program. He is taking Heavenly New Frontiers to it, among other things. And this is Sharon Jones DVM. It's out of Cliffs of the Beak by Boo Webster, blooms in mid-season late. That form is consistent. Those petals always pinch and the sepals always curl. And it's got great color too. Nan gave me 2 dormant Tet seedlings and I registered them in 2017 with her permission. Sparkling Snow is named for the pronounced diamond dusting on its near white segments. It grows better in our garden than in Nan's Louisiana garden. And the rose pink Nan Wilkerson, which is almost as lovely as its namesake. This is Nan Wilkerson. It's got that gorgeous color, that pale frosted watermark and edge, makes a breathtaking clump. 6.5-inch blooms, 36-inch scapes, 4-way branching, 19 to 21 buds, fertile both ways. And this is Sparkling Snow, ultra easy parent both ways. The right pick was taken in Nan's Louisiana garden and the left pick taken by me in my garden. And it's kind of strange because in the north the sepal edges flush pink, but it never did that, not even once, in Louisiana. And this was out of an Earl Watts seedling by Webster's Ivory Angel Wings. My first red program. The seedlings all had sunfast narrow blooms with bright red clear color and emerald green throats, but they were nothing special. The only keeper was a beautiful burgundy purple unusual form, Daniel Gerard, from the best of those seedlings as pod parent. I kept Daniel Gerard but scrapped its pod parent in that entire red line. Breaking up wasn't hard to do. Bye-bye, first red line. This is Daniel Gerard. It has good sun resistance. Its pollen parent was waiting in the wings. 6.5-inch blooms, 35-inch scapes, 3-way branching, 15 buds. Kathy Lamb is quite taken with this and she is using it in her hybridizing program. So if at first you don't succeed, what do? Start over. Ted Blaney's Pod Difficult Funny Valentine was one of 2 significant parents that jump-started my red hybridizing program. And this was the other significant parent, a seedling later registered as David's gift. During a visit to Daylily World in Sanford, Florida, the year before David and Mort moved to Kentucky, David generously gave me this seedling, hence the name, and I am very grateful. And there it is. Look at that consistently perfect form. Decadent, looping into the throat ruffles, wide segments, and it has heavy, plastic-like substance. And as a clump in my garden, it puts on a spectacular show. No pods, powerful pollen. Exciting results. Funny Valentine by David's Gift produced the ruffled bright red Shawn Michael, combining the best attributes of both parents, and British Redcoat by Funny Valentine created the dark velvety red Caleb Joseph. This is the best red that I've done so far, that I've registered. After heavy rain on the left, and it has a velvety sheen that it's showing on the right picture. 5 1/4 inch blooms, 38 inch scapes, 3-way branching, 20 buds, and it's got good sun and rain resistant. And there it is on rebloom, which it often does. It's vigorous and it multiplies rapidly. Dale Hensley is growing this, and he says the color is just spot on, and he tells me that it's vigorous for him too. And there's a small clump of it blooming next to its namesake, my only son, Sean. And this is Caleb Joseph, named for my grandson. It has a velvety sheen. 5 inch blooms, 30 inch scapes, 3-way branching, 17 buds, early mid-season bloom. I'm taking David's Gift to it to fancy up the form. A little bit about Fractured Heart. I fell in love with the seedling that became Fractured Heart during our visit to Daylily World. It's not pod fertile and its pollen is difficult to use, but I finally set pods on Guy's Swan Song this past summer with its pollen after years of attempts with many different pod parents. And there it is. It's really pretty. It's out of David's Universal Soldier line. 5 1/2 inch blooms, 30 inch scapes, 3-way branching, 15 buds, early mid-season bloom. It's got that distinctive patterned throat with those green darts coming out of it and a corduroy texture. And when it gets really hot, that throat can become star-shaped. It's got lots of scapes, many buds. And that's Puck peeking out. He wants to tell you about a couple more things. This is Mary Barbara, named for my mother, who is not doing well as we speak. It's out of Brian Culver and Dave Musar's Dragon Nation by Nan Wilkerson's Busy Being Fabulous. Smallest blooms were 8 inches, largest blooms 9 inches, 30 inch scapes, 3-way branching, 14 buds, no crowding. She's not a gardener, and she's looked through my seedling pictures. She saw this about 3 months ago and asked me to name it for her. And here is a couple pictures of it after rain. It also happens to be the most fragrant daylily I've ever grown in the garden. The fragrance is amazing. It had a sibling that I didn't keep that was fragrant too, but not as fragrant as this is. Well, thank you. And this is Elephant in the Room, out of Aliens in the Garden by Waves of Joy. On the auction sheet it says it's yellow. It's not. It's an ivory or an off-white, but there's no yellow in it. This inspired me to start working with eyes. Has 7 inch blooms, 33 inch scapes, 2-way branching, 14 buds. Starts blooming in early season, blooms through mid-season, has lots of scapes, and it's fertile both ways. This has a striking and dramatic look in the garden, and sometimes it forms proliferations on the lower portions of the scape to make baby elephants in the room. And yeah, that's Puck when he was a little kitten. And he wants to show you a few things. This is Sparkling Snow by Tripping Through Takema. It's vigorous, has heavy substance. It's going to be a future Bison Series registration because of that vigor. 7 inch blooms, 33 inch scapes, 5-way branching, 19 buds, no crowding. That pink tinge on the sepals comes from the pod parent, and that big green throat comes from Tripping Through Takema. This is a first-year seedling out of Shining Through the Darkness by Dawn Appears. These are different pictures of a seedling out of Bryce Farnsworth by Sheikah. This is a big, tall, flat, heavy substance bloom out of Fargo by Sheikah, and it has a sibling that's a polychrome, which surprised me. And there it is. And I do hope the scapes are taller next summer, but they did bloom well above the low arching foliage. But it's got great stats for a first-year seedling. It's kind of amazing, actually. And it's got good rain resistance, too. And this is another first-year seedling out of Needles in a Haystack by Brian Culver's Piranha. Sets pods easily. Good stats. I didn't count the buds, but there were a lot of them. And I did set some pods and have seeds out of it, too. And this is a sibling that's got more of a round form, more of a subtle polychrome look to it. And this is Joseph Christopher by the Goldilocks effect. It reblooms like its pod parent, Joseph Christopher. The reverse cross produced seedlings with tropical colors. These are just two of them. And this is Needles in a Haystack by O.C. Watley's Perma-French. Just first-year seedlings, blooms. First-year blooms. Eyed seedlings inspired by Elephant in the Room and Jimmy. Oops. Okay, Dragon Nation by One Hot Mama. That's got pure, vibrant, in-your-face color. Thank you. And this is its sibling. It has green lines, a feathered eye, and a kind of a patterned chevron style throat. I like this cross, well enough that I repeated it last year. So I'll have more out of that. And this is a cross out of Blackthorn by Black and White Ball. It's got a dominating dark eye, and I like what it's doing in the eye area before it goes into that green throat. I had some keepers out of this, but I'm only going to show you one more of them. There's a sibling with the dominant violet eye. Kind of interesting. Now, who knew I had a purple program? Not even Merlin Baby Cat. But, I'm really fussy with purples. I've thrown a lot of them away if they have thin substance, if they melt, if they aren't sun resistant. My garden's almost all full sun. Or if the color isn't clear. So there were some that I really liked that had good color, and I crossed them, and I just kind of got lucky. This is one of them. It's Mount Ararat by the Dream Society after rain. This might be a future registration if the stats hold up. Here's some more pictures of it. Velvety texture, regal appearance. I love the throat and eye. This is Mount Ararat by the Ultimate Sacrifice. It has a velvety sheen and a white edge. And this is its sibling that looks like you painted it with high gloss paint. It's just real glossy, and it's got that white edge. It's really kind of nice. And then this is, I had 8 keepers that all have amazing sun resistance out of I Can Only Imagine by Faith That Moves Mountains. I'm not saying they're all going to be registrations, I'm just keeping them for further evaluation. There's 2 of them. And here's 2 more. The one on the right is Nan Ripley's favorite out of this cross. She likes the color and the velvety sheen. Anyone who knows me knows I love red, so that's my truck. This is out of Zola's Tribute to Mary Baker. That's a Lavera Webster cultivar by David Kirchhoff's Cardinal Kisses. Got a tall scape, good branching and bud count, nicely spaced buds. That's all on a first-year seedling. It's an early morning opener. And there's some more pictures of it. It holds up well in rain. Now here's its sibling, which is a second-year seedling, but it's not an early morning opener. But it does have rich colors, nice color contrast, and reblooms. Here's some more pictures of it. It's fully open by about 9:30 in the morning. And this is a little bitty thing out of Shawn Michael by David Kirchhoff's Hoochie Coochie Man. The size really surprised me. It's got round, perfect form, real good sun resistance, clear color, 3.75-inch blooms, 20-inch scapes, 3-way branching, 12 buds. That's on a first-year seedling. And this is the ultimate sacrifice by cardinal kisses. It's got some interesting things going on. It's another first-year seedling. This is a sibling with a chalky watermark and a hint of pinching at the throat.